First and foremost, just how did this all come to be? When did the conversation start, and how did it develop?
Ever since I left, I kind of, had good communication with Eduardo, David, Steve, Alex. They've always built like a really good relationship with everybody. And, obviously David and Eduardo always stayed in touch, and it started kind of like during the off season, just entertaining it. Something I'd be interested in, and, I had offers from other teams and stuff like that. And it was just one of those things where I was like, you know what, this could be fun. I like what they're doing here. I like the team they built here. I had a great experience here with the front office, with ownership, with the clubhouse, everything. It was just a really fun place to come. So I said, you know what, why not? Let's do it.
What do you view as your role and anticipate it being here?
I think it's just to be a resource to these guys. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with my career, some aren't, but I've had quite a roller coaster throughout my career, from getting released to being a top prospect to just my rise to then going in and retiring. There's a lot of things I've experienced where I feel like I can relate to a lot of those guys in that clubhouse, and just my knowledge with that, and just helping any way I can. Anything I see, whether it's in the offense, whether it's the strategy, whether it's mentorship, I'm just here to help out any way I can.
At what point did you decide that you were for sure done playing yourself?
I don't know. It was kind of one of those things where I remember laughing about it. I remember how hard I had, getting a job after my year in 23, and the year that I had, I remember seeing, I was like, yeah, this is probably it. So obviously I kept hitting for a while with hopes last year, probably till about right now, I would say, this time last year. And I put my bat down. I said, all right, my guy I hit with Sosa down in Miami. I was like, hey, I'll see you in a few weeks. I'm gonna take a few weeks off. And I left my batting gloves there, and I never went back. So that was pretty much it, really.
How much did you keep in touch with some of these guys last season and just keep tabs on what was going on here?
Yeah, I had a lot of the guys would text me randomly, and they would call me and ask me, for advice and help and stuff like that. And it's obviously I would help as much as I can, but at the same time, I was honestly enjoying my life for the first time. And dude, I don't know. I mean, I've been playing baseball since I was 4. People look at it like, you only played when you were in the big leagues, but it's been year-round like this since, 4 or 5 years old, I feel like. So it's the first time I get to actually enjoy a summer. And, I've been just doing that, so it was kind of hard to, keep up with them. And so I would touch in when I could and stuff like that. But then, obviously now, it's like, okay, cool. I think I could do both now, and it'd be fun. It's, it's exciting now to have something to look forward to every night, to turn the games on and watch the games and just keep up with the guys and shoot them text messages and help out. It's a different kind of feeling.
How much do you think 2 years ago Vientos really benefited from having you here?
I don't know. I mean, he was an unbelievable player. He still is. He still is a great player. I know he struggled last year, but he's got the ability. It's in there. And for him, I think it's just one of those things, just a little bit of guidance. I think could go a long way with him. He's off to a good start this year, obviously, but see how it goes.
When you were a player, when did you kind of start embracing that mentorship role, and I guess why did you decide to kind of go that route?
It's actually a funny story. It's a good question. When I was at the Astros, I remember I was in a bad spot. I was, an up and down guy that barely played. I would reach out to the veteran guys, and at that time it was a little different. The veteran guys weren't very nice, you would say. Let's use not nice is a good term, but I remember seeing that and asking questions and them kind of never answering it, and they kind of blowing me off and just making my life a nightmare. I remember saying, I was like, you know what? If God ever blesses me where I'm in that position, I'm never going to treat a young guy like that, and I'll always answer any questions and help them out in any which way, because I remember how helpless that feeling was, and going through that whole process. So when things changed for me and I kind of grew as a player and the same situation happened, I leaned towards the other side more.
JD, you got a sense of how many games you'll be at, or what percentage of home games maybe? Or?
It's kind of one of those things now where they kind of want to ease me into it. They were like, we don't want you to jump into something that you don't know if you're going to be like obsessed with. They're like, if you're obsessed with it, come as much as you want. If you're not, then we want to just we want to ease you back into it, because it is a transition. It's hard being out here like watching these guys hit. Like if I want to pick up a bat and hit myself, it's just you got to turn the page a little bit. But right now it's just going to be once a month, for a homestand or something like that. I'll bounce in, bounce out. Obviously communicating with the guys and with David and Eduardo, and just giving them my feedback. They've been great through this whole thing, kind of holding my hand through this, going into the corporate world, you could say, instead of the baseball world. It's a different thing for me. But yeah, that's pretty much it right now.
Just be here on the major league side, or will you be making visits to some of the affiliates, you think?
I don't know. Honestly, I think right now we talk mostly major league side. I think I could have, the biggest impact right now for here. If they wanted me to, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
How much interest do you have in the upstairs stuff, if at all?
It's interesting. I mean, yesterday they took me up there, and it's like an army up there. It's kind of wild. I was like, wait, these are all these people that are giving us the information and helping us out. They're like, yeah, this is behind the scenes. I was like, I've never seen anything like this. So it's cool, and it's a little intimidating by it, because you're a lot smarter than us. But then I come down here and it's like, okay, everything feels normal again. So it's something that I definitely want to continue to learn from. I think it'd be good for me personally, just to be in those meetings, understanding what they're seeing, how they're looking at it, and maybe giving them my perspective on how that would look on a player, how you could relate that to a player. So
what are your first impressions of what this team is? Because obviously it's a lot different than 2024.
Very talented. I mean, I'd argue this team's more talented than the 2024 team by far. It's a really good group. I played with and against a lot of these guys. I have a ton of respect for them. Bo and Marcus and Juan. Bringing those guys over, those are big bats and difference makers. So this is a really good team. I mean, everything's been obviously at the beginning of the year where they weren't really scoring. They're starting to score a little bit more now. But yeah, and adding Freddie too is just huge, and the pitching staff that they've added, they're a threat. It's a really good baseball team.
What advice do you give for some of the guys that are playing in a big market like New York for the first time? Obviously, having that experience in multiple different markets.
You don't want me to say this, but ignore all of you guys. The fans are great, but you got to kind of it's just the Northeast. It's tough, dude. You got to take them with a grain of salt. It's just, you remember when I was here, the famous quote, "We suck, we all suck together," right? But that's kind of the mindset you got to have. The Northeast are very passionate. I love it. They never bothered me, in Boston and here. They never really got under my skin, because I always said I was harder on myself than they could ever be. But that's kind of what I tell these guys. Is if you worry about the fans, you're going to go crazy here, and a lot of people can't. A lot of people can't handle it. I've seen players that the fans will get under their skin, and they won't be able to do it, and the media as well. So it's one of those things where entertain. You guys have fun with it. They're going to talk crap about you. That's just how it is. But that's your team in there. So.
When it comes to hitting, what's your personal philosophy on using all that information that's available and just the instinctual part of hitting?
You got to simplify it. All that information is great. All the analytics and stuff is great. But for me, it's like, okay, that's great. But where are the cookies, the outliers? What's going to help me go out there today and compete? Because I can't be thinking about every single one of those things. So to me, I have my own, mind on how I get all those numbers, and I put it together. Okay, so this means this, and this is what I'm trying to do with it.
How often do you talk to Iglesias?
He actually texted me the other day. Sent me a screenshot of it, and he said, "OMG," of course. But yeah, I talk to him maybe we'll shoot a text every other month or once every 3-4 weeks. It's just he's a good guy, a good friend down there. He's kind of going through right now where he doesn't know what he wants to do and things like that.